All right, all set to go.
Thank
Ready?
Ready.
You ready, Frank? Then let's begin. Today is October 14th, 2025. The time is 6:14. Meeting of the Board of Health now called to order. My name is Glenn French. I'm the chairman for the Board of Health. This is an open meeting of the Northborough Board of Health conducted in person and remotely consistent with Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025 relative to certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency. Public's encouraged to follow along using posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream or the recording of this meeting may do so by going to Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube via the link listed on the agenda. Sharing public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. We have Lisa Johnson and Lara Helbig and myself. With that in mind, we're gonna jump right in. Everything's okay up there?
All good.
We will go with the local upgrade approval request for the septic system at 254 Rice Avenue. Gentleman with the plans. Hey, somebody's got one.
I've got one
That's
large
okay.
hard copy if you'd like me to bring it up, otherwise.
No, I think we can start presenting and then you have the question.
So I'm Evan Carloni, innovative septic design here on behalf of the owner of 254 Rice Ave. 254 Rice Ave, it is a multifamily, 2 units. And they've got an existing system that is failed. So that's why we're here. We're here just replacing like with like 5-bedroom with 5-bedroom septic system. There's 2 local upgrades that we have on this plan. One of which is the offset from there's 2 building sewer lines, one for each unit. Building sewer 2 that comes out on the Chapin Street side is in close proximity with the existing water line. So those lines are both existing, and so with that, we are requesting the local upgrade from the 10-foot offset for these lines. We're going to take a look at the building sewer line as we're there for installation. We're going to look at the structural integrity, and if need of replacement, the plan would be to replace at that point in time. The second local upgrade has to do with the proximity of the leaching facility to the cellar wall. 20 feet is required, and we're requesting down to 10 feet. We are proposing an impervious barrier between the septic system and the cellar wall. That's depicted as the darker line labeled 11. That is between the leach field and the dwelling. The system also utilizes a 2-foot offset to the water table through the approval letter, the MAPDP approval letter for Presby.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that 2-foot water line is separate, correct? We don't have to deal with
2
it.
foot to the water table, that's separate, that's through the approval.
Can you tell us briefly about the Presby system again?
So it's a patented sand filter system. Basically, instead of a pipe and stone that just delivers the wastewater to the natural soil to provide all of the treatment. Pipe and stone, basically all of the treatment of the effluent is on the brunt of the natural soil. With these patented sand filters, the effluent that leaves after the Presby tube and the 6 inches of C33 sand underneath, that wastewater is treated about 10 times the amount of what leaves the pipe and stone system. So they essentially, they receive reductions in sizing, reductions to the water table, and certain other benefits.
Yeah. So basically forces it through the sand How are you telling us? Like a filter?
Well, yeah, not necessarily. I think
No.
the wetting and drying effect is really, that takes place within the tube itself. And then what goes through the sand is what really does a lot of treatment. And
Okay,
it's really all based around being aerobic and then kind of fluctuating between aerobic and anaerobic to create that treatment. And that's what helps the wastewater. So
Does this require any additional maintenance or frequent
not under this approval.
pumping or what
No.
have you? Okay.
There's a separate approval that requires maintenance, but it's not under this approval.
it's just designed for a smaller area. More compact.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
key.
Yep, there's, it's a good size property. However, everything to the northwest, it's pretty heavily wooded. So you'd be talking about quite a bit of tree removal and taking down the existing stone walls. You're talking, it would add quite a bit in cost, the installation. So this is the existing yard space that's there now. And it's getting further where the existing system is down in the corner. It's closer to that riverfront. So we're really pushing everything out of that 200-foot riverfront zone as well.
Right. We've got that impervious barrier, goes along the cellar wall. That takes care of that.
Yeah.
And as far as the second one, you did them in reverse, I'm calling it the second one.
Sure.
The 10-foot setback from the water line and the building sewer line. So you got the water line and the building sewer line are already in.
Yeah.
We're hoping to use those again.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to be 10 foot between them, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
And there's less than 10 feet.
Yeah.
And your opinion is that they're gonna hold and they're gonna hold from now until eternity.
Well,
So to speak.
at this point in time, I would assume that the building sewer line is no matter what, we're improving the building sewer line. So that will be the plan there. If there really hasn't been a problem to date with anything getting into, into that water line, then
Right.
I would assume that there wouldn't be an issue going forward.
Is this town water?
Yes.
Questions? Anyone have any questions? Where's the lead?
I
He's
don't.
that question man on these things.
I don't.
No, I don't either. Laura?
No.
All right, let's move on these things. We've got nice enough to write these things out for us, right? Do we have these already?
I do.
Motions? The variance requests?
I just have what you have.
Okay. All right, I move that we approve the request for a 10-foot setback from the cell wall and leaching facility as opposed to the 20-foot setback requirement. Given that the safety and impervious barrier will be provided. Anyone want to second that?
Second.
All those in favor? And secondly, the requirement of a 10-foot setback from the water line and building sewer line be allowed as their existing lines. And inspections will be done on the sewer line and replaced if necessary, part of the installation. Those in favor? Aye. Very good. The Cosby system wins again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Sure.
Okay,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, well, that one wraps it up. Next on the list is the poultry regulation discussion. During the past month, I've been reviewing several different towns. both on our own or suggested by various people, town, or city regulations, both for keeping of animals and specifically for the keeping of fowl. Fowl's got quite a bit of members in it, and that's fine with me. And so, where do you want to take this thing from now?
Yeah, so I would say, so looking back at the zoning bylaws, the Board of Health regulates 5 acres and under. So anything over 5 acres would not be our jurisdiction according to the zoning bylaw. So I think the next steps would be for the board to decide and agree on some of the, more basic needs for the regulations. And then we, Chris and I, with town council, would draft regulations. You all would look at them, and then it would go, we would advertise for 2 weeks. It would go to a public hearing, and then there would be a vote after that. So I think the biggest things for you all to discuss are, 1, setbacks from property, butters
Yeah.
property, either dwellings or lines, and then roosters, whether you want to allow them based on acreage, complaints, whatever that may look like. Number of chickens, if you want to require a maximum or not, or do it based on acreage again, and then we can talk more about permits, who would be required to submit a permit. Some towns do it for more than 6 chickens, some do it for all. It really is a decision that you can make.
I'm here to speak on that. I don't know if I can,
We're really not taking public comment, but what do you got in mind, mister?
my name is Rob Webster. I live at 4 Juniper Brook Road. I've been in touch with some of the board members here. And I was not aware of the meeting last month, so I missed that one. And this was my next opportunity to speak to it. And that's why I'm here tonight. So I'm here to speak about the annoyance and noise problems of roosters.
Rob Webster, you're the one who sends all the texts, the
Email.
emails.
Yes.
I've seen all your complaints.
Okay.
We've seen them.
All right.
There's
So,
nothing new. Do you have something new to add to them?
not a lot.
I know you
Just
don't
that-
like the noise, and I know you got a question about rodents and that kind of thing. We've seen all these,
That was one of them, yeah.
you
And
know?
then I had a question about the peace and good order bylaw that's in place that nobody seems to know who is in charge of enforcing that.
Well, I don't think that fits under a nuisance.
Well, that's part of it. The bylaw says no person shall allow any animal owned by him or under his control to destroy or damage the property of another or to create a nuisance.
Well, that's exactly what I just said, Rob.
Right, that's
To get the
correct.
nuisance under that thing, and as far as I know, we're talking about chickens and roosters.
We're talking about roosters crowing all day long.
Not destroying your property, that's more of a nuisance,
Yes.
correct?
That's a
So
nuisance.
that's what we're talking.
The noise
Like
is
you
a-
said, it's a nuisance violation.
So I would think, I don't know that much about town policies and how things go, but I would think the animal control officer would be the person to control animals. I don't know who else you would call to make those decisions or to enforce these things.
As far as controlling the noise, that would probably fall on us, no?
I think it would be
Nuisance.
a combination of.
Or the police, I
Worst
mean,
comes to worst, it falls into the court system.
yeah, I don't think that calling the police every time that the roosters are crowing is a
No, I don't think so.
good way to take care of our,
I agree with you.
Reasonable.
So that's why we have been listening to the public and listening to you,
Mhm.
whether we're talking face to face or not.
Yep.
Or
And
at
another
least
thing that I have
listening
not emailed is another matter that somebody else had brought up was the Americans with Disability Act does not recognize chicken and goats as service animals. Only dogs and in some single exceptions, miniature horses, neither of which we are discussing.
to service animals and comfort animals are two different
Two
things.
different things, right?
Two different things. I understand.
And if I had a barking dog outside my house from 5 AM to dusk, service animal or not, I bet somebody would be at my door, trying to get me to shut the dog up.
Of course,
So it just kind of common sense stuff, and that's all. It is the same stuff that I've been emailing, but I get kind of canned or plain responses that don't really seem to have a lot of direction other than, we're gonna, as Isabel just said, we're gonna bring it up again, and we'll have another meeting. I just don't know how long it goes on for.
Well, the anti-rooster people and anti-chicken people are up against the rooster people and the chicken people.
Yeah.
So we're trying to find like with any regulation, trying to find a common ground and get this thing done, believe me.
I have no problem with
I
roosters.
get feathers coming out of my ears.
Yeah, I have no problem with roosters, I have no problem with chickens or goats if they're not making noise, they don't smell. We've had a lot of issues with number 9. You're familiar with the Leonard property. I saw the last meeting that you just had. And with it, they're wandering around the neighborhood. They're not in his yard.
They're supposed to be kept in a yard, and that's part of what we're working on.
Supposed to.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're supposed to be.
I know.
Otherwise, I guess it's technically a trespass.
Yeah.
So
that's my.
That's what we're doing.
That's my reason for worrying or be concerned about other people that are right next door with more chickens, goats, and roosters, and listening to the roosters since July. And we're talking about a proposal that's probably gonna go into November or December.
Well, it's gonna be a period of time, I think, that it's going to take place as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I saw several clauses that said this, while the permitting is in place, starting now, the actual requirements won't kick in for another, I think it was a year for either Midway or Framingham, because to just tell someone, hey, ask the rooster, we're a board, I don't speak for everybody, I just speak for myself. I don't think that's right either. Now we're coming into the winter months, where if in my thoughts, once we get this hammered out as to numbers, setbacks, and roosters, then the regulation's not gonna kick in right away. It's gonna be a grace period to get all these people who have been raising chickens and raising roosters, gonna give them a period of time. This is my opinion now. There's 5 people on this board, I'm just one of them. We're all equal. But I would be leaning towards allowing some sort of grace period before these regulations came into effect. And so when you're looking at realistically what's happening, we've got the winter months coming along, June right around the corner, May to June is somewhere where I would be leaning that, if there is a ban on roosters, that's where the roosters are gonna be banned.
So you're talking about new regulations, and again,
New
I keep
regulations.
referring back to the bylaw that's on the books and been on the books, so maybe if we could find out who can enforce it, falling under a nuisance of pets, maybe we could move a little faster than 8
Listen,
months.
I'm just one person.
I know, but
I'm just telling you.
I'm not familiar with how this works.
There's
So
5 of us,
if you have some direction of who we speak to. And
as far as the rooster noise.
as far as enforcing a bylaw that's already on the books and doesn't have to get passed
No, that
before
would be-
everybody else.
I've
No,
talked to town council, this is a general bylaw, so he was the one that said there was uncertainty in who were to enforce this, so
The
which is why.
town council, and I don't know, maybe it's the court system, not that I invite you to sue in your own town. But,
How come somebody doesn't know though, or how come somebody on the board doesn't know who enforces a bylaw?
The bylaw isn't under this board.
No, I understand that, but you spoke to the town council. How come somebody on the town council doesn't know?
If I can speak to it, it's a very poorly written bylaw. It was written in 1971. It doesn't set standards. It doesn't set fines. It doesn't set who actually regulates it. Nor does it set any times where noise is acceptable. It's very difficult to
So that
enforce.
was a productive meeting in 1971.
Absolutely, I agree with you. I wish it was more specific because it doesn't give us a mechanism in that bylaw to go there and say, hey, you can't do this between X and X hours. It's very vague.
Our friend at number 9 had roosters and the town came in and had him remove them a few years ago. Hasn't had roosters until just recently. Somebody did that. I didn't do it. Somebody did that from the town.
we didn't do it,
Well, somebody from the town came in and made him get rid of roosters and then he
to
got rid of
figure it
roosters.
out.
My knowledge, you gave them up willingly.
Yeah,
Well,
probably.
but.
So right now, we're trying to put together a regulation as to what to do with roosters, you know,
In small residential areas.
in small residential areas. If you wanna know my personal opinion, we lose the roosters.
If you wanna have chickens and goats in small residential areas, I think that's the concession.
And you know, and I've been saying it all along. So that's me. Just so you know,
Mhm.
what page I'm on. Of course, there's rooster owners who will argue against it. But in a small residential half acre lots, I personally, in my opinion, to the world, think that roosters don't belong there.
The thing that gets me is if the
Now,
neighbors,
if the wheels of justice, so to speak, aren't moving quick enough for you,
if the
Rob,
neighbors
there's not
are,
much more we can do about it, other than put together regulations.
right,
Okay, and you know, roosters have been allowed in the town since the town became. So we've just started working on this thing maybe 4 months ago.
Hmm.
And we're getting ready to have numbers and setbacks and all that, and then once that's written up, goes to town council, gets approved, comes back here, and we vote on it. So we're getting there,
Mhm.
you know? The best I can tell you.
No, I just can't get over the fact that, if the people that have roosters know that their neighbors don't, appreciate
People
it.
are funny people,
Yeah,
that's all I
funny
can
people.
tell you. People are funny that way, so we're working on it. I know you don't like to hear, but we're working on it, we're going positive direction.
Is there,
You know?
we don't know when the end or the resolution.
No, but it'll be, you know, it's coming.
Okay.
It's coming. And, you know, the good news is it's winter. And by the time the spring comes and you open your window, it should be quiet.
Okay, I guess
Okay.
that's that, I guess.
That's that. Now we've got to discuss the other portions of this thing, what we've been talking about, numbers and all that, and I wish I did have in front of me the Framingham or one of the,
There's Medway, Hudson, and
There's-
Westboro was folded into it. Would you like to do?
yeah,
Well, thank you for your time.
thanks, Rob. We'll get there.
Let's do that.
Do you want me to summarize the three?
Thank you. That way I like. It is simple,
Medway, that's more to go.
as far as size of the
Yeah.
population and all that.
But it has good ideas.
So Medway breaks up fowl by acreage.
Right.
They do not allow roosters in residential zone areas, and then, 15 feet from a butter's property line.
Which is pretty much what we were looking at.
Yes.
Medway, I just read Medway not too long ago. What else? Who else had 15 feet? Hudson,
Hudson,
Hudson, you have a zoo in your yard. That's what
Hudson,
it
you
seemed
can
like to
have,
me. It was like,
you can have 20,
go
you
ahead.
can have 20 chickens.
No, that's too,
I previously worked in native, native was 15 feet as well,
15.
as well as 50 feet minimum from any dwelling.
So it wasn't Hudson, it was,
Westboro.
I think Framingham. Westboro was good.
I didn't see Framingham. Yes, it's like.
Framingham was good. Framingham was also included other animals besides birds.
Framingham and Ashland are very similar.
Are you the one who sent me the Ashland one today? You sent me Ashland. It looked like, I don't know if Framingham took Ashlands or Ashland took Framingham.
I think it was a draft regulation, from MHA.
Oh, okay.
So it looked,
I thought Framingham was better than Ashland.
they might have added some local.
I don't know why. But I read, when I read Framingham, so we're big, spot on.
I don't believe Framingham, sets a maximum of chickens, though.
You know,
I don't believe so.
I think the maximum, I think the number of chickens should correspond with lot size. you ask me.
And I will say, of some residents who've reached out to me, and I know you've owned chickens, that they can only get them in 6.
Right.
So I would recommend, if you do go that route, to do it in multiples of 6, to just be realistic of kind of the situation.
But sometimes those 6 are not all,
They don't make it.
or they don't all make it.
So sometimes it's
And
like 12.
they're
so
not
that you get your
all-
6.
They're not all
Hens, right?
chicken
Well,
hens, thank you.
Yeah, they might not all be pullets.
It could be
It could be a rooster.
roosters.
Yeah.
Oh,
And you gotta be
That's
prepared
beautiful.
to,
Yeah, to rehouse.
what do you do with a rooster if you get a rooster you don't want a rooster?
Craigslist is great. You'd be surprised how many people will take
Really?
your.
Animal control in the past has helped
Yeah.
people rehome if they're interested.
You know what I
And
mean?
there you go.
Yeah.
That's
Because I
really
do
good.
worry about that.
Connections with
There
farms.
are people who are gonna be affected by this, the owners of these birds,
Runs out on farms. Yeah.
you know?
And then Hudson, as far as roosters, they allow roosters over, what was it, it was square feet, but I think it was about 1.5.
About 1.5 acres.
I'd go bigger than that. That's.
That's-
I would too.
I've said in a lot of
Yeah.
like subdivisions that have close to 2 acres.
Yeah, 2 acres,
lots,
you-
And I thought about that.
3 acres minimum.
I would think. That's what I
Think
said.
about like a house like mine, like I've got 8 acres, but like honestly, only an acre of it is some grass and only an acre of it would really be appropriate for chickens. So like,
But for roosters.
well, and even having more, like if you were me, I'd have plenty, I still wouldn't put a rooster on my 8 acres. Just because
No,
of the way
it might
I'm
be-
situated.
I've got several acres, my neighbor across the street's gonna
You're
hear
on
them.
the edge of the 8 acres versus the center of it, per
Right.
se.
Right.
Sure.
I mean, I do feel like that 1.5 is not.
I don't think
I
that
agree. I
touches it.
think.
I said personally, I said the 5 acres. Before I even knew that we didn't control anything over 5 acres. You know?
I
That's a
do
big,
think there's a good amount of people with roosters that we need to balance that.
are there really?
And I do think, one of our goals, to that, individual's point is to have clear, guidelines of if we do get a complaint or a nuisance complaint, what are the steps? What can we do? Which a lot of these have written out, which of course we would.
Because it's gonna be a complaint as soon as this goes into effect, it's gonna be a complaint. Everybody who doesn't like the rooster is gonna complain. So it's either no roosters or that's what I said, no roosters over anything under 5 acres. The end of it. And I know there's rooster people. There's all sorts of people. And this is gonna go round and around in a circle. It's gotta be some sort of,
So if you had, say, 3 acres. And Perhaps-
your hen house, I'm sorry to
I'm just
interrupt.
saying, perhaps you were in a situation where you didn't have neighbors close to you because maybe you butted some conservation land, what have you. Could there be an opportunity for somebody to request
A
a
variance.
variance in that case? It could be looked at, case, not that we want to spend a lot of time with rooster variance,
Or
but.
you've got 4.5 acres. And you've got your coop 15 feet from the boundary line. And you've got, your roosters in there, you got 2, let's say, under the bylaw. You might as well live in a 1/4 acre.
Is there a possibility of building in a sort of, restructure?
It's just gonna be 1, 2, 3. Like if you're next to Rob,
Yeah, he's gonna call 3 times and you'll be done.
That's
But
it.
I mean,
But
And
others we don't hear about. I
I was
think,
gonna say, there's plenty of quiet roosters out there, and so it's like, you could have a responsible owner, they could be doing everything right, and they're quiet and fine, and they're on 2.5 acres. You could have somebody on 5 acres, and depending on how it's situated, they could have a really noisy rooster, and
So maybe it's more about with roosters, how close they are to the line.
I saw something like that too, in one of these.
I don't know about specific to the
Something like
lot.
250
Oh, I think
feet
that was
from the
for
line.
industrial, maybe commercial. Any route, this was from Medways, Any rooster on a commercial or industrial property must be kept at least 250 feet from an abutting residential property.
I've never saw it. That must be because does a rooster's cock-a-doodle-doo go 250 feet?
Yeah.
I think it does too. Cause I'll tell you what, when I was visiting one of the neighbors who had, I wasn't there for the roosters, but I was there for something else. I was more than 250 feet away. And it might as well have been sitting on top of my car.
To Mr. Webster's credit, I've gone there a couple of times, even at 6 in the morning, and that rooster is
It's
going.
loud.
Yeah. So,
And I wasn't, shy about it. It's pretty much constant.
I think it's balancing noisy roosters, but also residents' right to have a rooster and have that opportunity.
Well, they have the right now. And we're looking to limit their right to chickens and we're limiting the right to roosters. Limit as far as numbers.
I
I've
think,
never heard of a quiet rooster. Is there such thing as a quiet rooster? Who says quiet roosters? I don't think they are quiet. So, well, I would lead to where I sit, anything under 5 acres, no roosters. That's where I sit. So we could work on that. We say anything under 3 acres, no roosters. Does that matter? Does anything under 5 acres matter? Because it really doesn't unless you set back where the roosters can be.
Right.
You set back where the roosters can be, then the lot size is different. So I think when it comes to roosters, not chickens, but roosters, maybe we have to can have under 3 acres or whatever, but we have to have a further setback. But isn't the point of having the roosters so they can hang out with the hens
Oh, sure.
to keep them from creating havoc amongst the tribe? So then if you have a rooster, that's gotta be set back 250 feet, let's say, which is an arbitrary number as far as I can tell, then what good does the rooster do if it's not hanging out with the chicks? Hens. It's a very complex
very
issue.
complex,
It really is.
complex because we have sections of town that are, obviously densely populated, and we have towns that are, more
Right,
wooded as well as agricultural, and obviously.
so we're gonna have to
So we
keep
want to be
roosters.
careful not to
Yeah.
make it a nanny state with this.
Yeah, no.
You know.
I think roosters it's gotta be under 3 acres, you can't have a rooster.
For sure.
then-
And that's completely arbitrary. I feel like the 3
It
acres.
is arbitrary.
Completely arbitrary. To me, the
Like-
issue is noise. All of your complaints have been noise. No one's complained about odor, correct? No one's
Correct.
complained about waste, and
Correct.
no one's complained about infectious diseases.
Well, people have
Okay,
complained, right?
okay, new to the board, so, so to me, address the real problem, and the real problem is the noise. The real problem isn't any of these other things that you're talking about. I mean, I agree with that, there should still be setbacks. But to me, you're not hitting the noise, because you can have a quiet rooster on 3 acres, you can have a noisy one on 5. You're
What
still gonna end
about-
up with complaints,
what
you're
about
still gonna end up with
rooster-
somebody who says the same
What
thing.
about a rooster on a quarter acre?
Well, I think that's a no. I mean, I feel like that's too small.
So it's not arbitrary.
It's not completely arbitrary, but I think it does,
Um,
because then how many chickens do you have on that quarter acre?
we don't know, how many are we gonna have on the quarter acre?
Then do you keep the rooster away from the perimeter? How do you corral your rooster?
No. It would- Like the dog leash thing, the electric fence.
Invisible fence.
Invisible fence.
Let's table the roosters for a minute.
Yeah.
What about chickens? There's chickens as far as lot size, right?
So Medway breaks it up into acres, so an eighth to a quarter acre, you can have 4. A quarter to a half acre is 6. A half to 1 acre is 10 and 1 acre to 5 is 20. Westboro has slightly different kind of breakdowns of their acreage. Under an eighth is 6, an eighth to a quarter is 18. A quarter to a half is 24, a half to 1 is 36, and 1 to 2 acres is 50. Hudson does not break it down, they just say 20. And then to my knowledge, these are long regulations, but I don't believe Framingham sets maximum.
Or chickens or a quarter acre. If there's a house on that, it's awful small, actually. How much per bird? I thought I saw that too.
They recommend, what is it, 4 square
4
feet?
square feet of coop space per bird and then 8 square feet of room space at a minimum, which is quite small.
Yeah,
But
it is
that
very small.
There is a,
And because you cannot buy 4 chickens,
Mhm.
you have to purchase 6.
well, then
Then there should be
you're gonna have to do something about the other two.
the size of the lot that reflects that many chickens. So, you know, if your lot is too small, you shouldn't have chickens.
But
I think most people though, when they drive from like commercial, like Murray McMurray, most people I know in my area just divide up amongst themselves, like 4 people go in and split a minimum order. So I know you have to get it from
If
like,
they can
from
create
Tractor Supply stores, 6, but like there are other
Right.
sources of purchasing chicken, and most people I know are buying them online and having them shipped. So, like.
yeah, the only
Well, you
place I
still can't buy
know,
4 online, but you have, so then you
Right,
have to.
you'd have to
your
divide up, and that's how most people I think.
Next
do.
door neighbor with another quarter acre lot, take the other chickens. I mean, to your point, I understand what you're saying. Just think of a small piece of property with chickens creates the challenges we're seeing.
But if they meet the setbacks that you decide,
If it meets the setbacks,
it's their choice how they.
So
which
if
we
they get
haven't
four-
decided on.
no, we haven't decided on anything. You got this is unbelievable. You got a quarter acre lot. Gonna allow chickens on there, it's just a matter of how many. I think if you can't buy less than 6 or whatever from Tractor Supply, then you gotta figure out something else. I mean, we're talking about animal ownership, you gotta have some responsibility. And, you know, if you buy 6 and one's a rooster, you gotta, them's a breaks, you gotta take care of it. So I think what we should do is go quarter acre. Or under a half acre, let's say, and under an acre. That kind of thing. And then just put numbers to it based on we can do the engineering. Based on, you know, the engineering, I don't wanna see a big, tons of chickens, it doesn't make any, you know. It's Northborough, it's not,
In a way, if you
8
say
acres.
the minimum space per bird as well as setbacks, that kind of regulates the maximum number of birds because you can only make your coop so big.
That's what I think we should do.
Okay.
It's more of a scientific approach to
Right.
it than just saying, hey, a quarter, right?
No.
That's what I think we should do. So we can put together some numbers like that, with a limit. I see plenty of towns and cities limiting the amount of chickens, you know? And people with over 5 acres, they can do what they want, apparently. This is fine, good, and I think they should be able to. But, within reason, thank you. But, so I think that's how we should approach the numbers and size. As far as setback of the coop, we can also do that as well. In smaller neighborhoods with quarter acre lots, and you got a coop, you know, obviously it's gonna be 15, so if we think it out. You know, if we think it out in a bigger lot. It should be the opposite. Bigger lot should have a lesser setback than a smaller lot. Because your neighbor's gonna be farther away than if you're in a quarter acre.
Well, that's assumed that,
Am I thinking wrong? I'm thinking right.
we're assuming that homes are right in the center
Yeah,
of their.
they're not
lot.
always,
They're very odd in Northborough,
Yeah,
depending on your neighborhood. So you
So
could
is
be
it-
right next to a house.
what if you do a setback from, instead of property line, from house line? Can that be done
That's feasible.
from neighbors?
You can have both, you can have a property line setback and it has to be X number of feet from the nearest dwelling. Typically, the neighbor's dwelling is more of a concern than your own, because,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
your
right
own.
to get.
you
Yeah.
chose the chicken.
So, if you can do both, you can do one.
So that's what I think is more reasonable.
So Framingham is no less than 75 feet from any dwelling of an abutter. No less than 25 feet from any dwelling of the applicant's property.
I like that.
I
I
agree.
think that's fair.
Yeah.
It's good. So we're allowing these things to occur, but we're also balancing. We say we're allowing. We're not the
Respecting.
all of them, you know,
Yeah.
all that is, we just,
Lisa, in your opinion, do you have a number where you'd say is the most common with homeowners having chickens? Is it typically, 6 birds, or people go a little further? I've seen it run the gambit, but I don't know what's the most common.
You may see more than I do.
Yeah,
We were in the 6 to 12 range,
okay.
and we have a couple acres.
I feel like just from what I've seen, that tends to be the most common, but yeah, I do think it's rare to see it kind of go beyond that 20 number would probably be the absolute most, I would say.
The 20
20 is a-
speed.
Yeah,
it's absurd.
But
What do you
if
need 20
had-
chickens
What if you
for?
had 4.8?
Yeah.
You could, but what are you gonna do with them all?
I think 20.
For eggs, right?
Maximum.
Well, they only lay for a couple of years generally. And
And
then if
then-
you don't wanna call them, you just let them roam the land.
Right, but you need 20
I don't,
rolling around?
but it depends on your acreage.
Can
People
you-
might stagger them too.
Can you sell the eggs? That's another thing. There's a whole
Another
nother.
set of
farm fresh eggs are considered exempt from basically the state food code requirements. They're considered an agricultural product, so they aren't really overseen by the state food code.
So they can be sold.
I think
Explains
a
the
lot of
20
it's for food,
chickens.
No way.
Yeah, a lot of, I guess what I think is too many chickens is neither here nor there. If you've got the acreage and you wanna have chickens, if you got the square footage and you wanna have chicken on it, you might as say, as long as you're not bothering your neighbors, that's how you wanna live, that's how you wanna live.
And then the other more, I
For
do,
once, I'm making sense.
I think the important parts of the regulations that we're not debating, that they, have to have food, water,
Yeah.
shelter,
The
fence,
metal,
like,
the metal
all of
tins
these things
and all that.
we're not debating, those are really there to protect the
Right.
animals.
Right.
So I don't wanna overlook that. either.
Right,
No,
that's
I
important.
think
The
that's good.
Westboro regs got really specific. They did, like, very specific. I mean, no beaking, no forced molting. I wouldn't think most backyard people are doing, but like,
I was
it's interesting that they spelled that out.
so we've got the numbers and size kind of figured out.
Mhm.
Lot
So number and
size
size.
figured out.
Are you saying what you said,
Yeah.
4 square feet per?
Sounds a little small.
I believe, I'll double check right now, but I do think that's the guidance from the MDR, or is it?
Again.
Association.
I'm not a chicken guy.
And I-
There's the poultry program at the state.
Yeah, general rule of thumb is 4 square feet of coop space and then 8 to 10 square feet of run. So seems to be the number.
Now, when we're saying run, That's a specific pen that's made for the chickens to hang out in.
Yeah.
If I had my backyard fenced off, even with chicken wire, so to speak, and it was, sufficient to keep them in there, is that acceptable? You know what I mean? I'd rather see it that way, where the chickens get to run around my yard, it's my yard.
Don't,
Do I have to keep them in a certain
and I'm sure.
run?
I know that our hawks would have enjoyed
Yeah,
that.
I
So
was
we
gonna
set
say,
up
yeah,
ours,
they're
you
gonna
know.
face other predator
oyster.
problems.
So is a run covered?
Usually.
Yeah.
What is the point of having these chickens?
They
Honestly,
they
you-
do eat
Do you
insects.
play with them? Do you pet them?
Eggs.
You know what I mean?
I think
they're pets.
From
I
what
get-
we've heard, one, food, eggs,
Mhm.
and then also like that farming experience for children or.
Yeah.
adults.
Sense of responsibility, have to take care of
The
them.
chickens
They're
pet,
to be
the
honest.
kids pet them,
They do.
play with
They're
them.
actually, they can be nice.
Do they come when you call them?
Sometimes.
You can train them.
They do not.
Some do.
My,
I will note that the Westboro densities are more dense than what you cited. Yeah, so you were saying 4 square feet interior, if they allow up to 50, and the max, and then the square footage recommended minimum was 75, so it's actually a little
Oh,
substantially under. I don't know where they got their numbers from,
Right.
they didn't provide a citation, but
Mm.
I do think that's probably too dense.
yeah, that's pretty dense.
More along the lines of like commercial poultry operations.
Right, no, that's what it's.
Although that's actually really still spacious, I understand.
No doubt.
If chickens can run loose in the yard, what if that brings them closer than the required setback?
yeah, I'm just asking.
Yeah, I know.
I know. Living here out in the woods, I'd like, if I had a chicken, I'd like them to be able to run around the yard with me. I'm working in the yard and I've got the old Ben sitting next to me, just hanging out. That's my idea of owning, of pet ownership. And he lays an egg too, or she lays an egg.
He's the.
Yeah, she lays an egg. To me, that's the whole idea. My little kids or my nephews can come over and play with the chicken and that's the end of it. That's to me, the idea of ownership of a chicken in 2025 in suburban.
I understand the best practice, like you mentioned, was it is typically they're kept in the enclosure because of hawks
For
and
safety.
switch. But from what I know, from chicken owners to let them out while they're outside dodging around, exactly, and then,
That's
but
common.
put them back before they can't,
And you just
pretend
kind
like-
of corral them back in and
Yeah.
they're trainable.
So, I think kind of as a standard, you should have that enclosure.
Yeah,
Like within that potentially fenced in space as well.
yeah. Gotta keep them in your yard and keep them in an enclosure. If you want them to help you till the soil, then I guess,
Is
as
that
long as they don't get out.
listed in any, I didn't notice where a coop and a run is required. That's assumed, right? But something to
Yeah, we have to.
document.
Oh, this is. Very Hudson.
In the Westboro one, under the section D standards, air, the do state outdoor structure must be provided to poultry and must be attached to the coop. It may be attached to the coop, but may be closed off between 10 PM and 7 AM to keep the poultry safe in the coops. And then there goes, the Westboro ones are really quite detailed. It does conclude shelter must be provided to protect poultry from the elements and flying predators such as
Right.
hawks or eagles. So,
That sounds fair. Really doesn't really have a lot.
I feel like the Westboro ones maybe with a little less detail, or not a horrible starting point. Except I think the numbers are a little higher than what maybe I'm hearing people would want. And it looks like they didn't have a concept on the boosters. I feel like they were silent on the rooster.
Westboro allows
No
roosters.
pun, no pun intended.
Westboro allows roosters for all sizes. And
Okay.
they deal with it a complaint basis.
Yeah,
I mean, on some level, I feel like that's the issue.
Right, and you deal with the complaints, but they do,
But then we need to have a pathway. for-
I will
and it
say
sounds like
they,
that's the piece that's lacking.
yes, they have a very, page 73, enforcement and penalties. They,
Okay.
lay it out and it just becomes procedural.
page 73.
And this is like their town meeting, like booklet.
Oh my God, I really did write a lot.
No, it's only page 60 to 70. And poultry is on 68.
Well, that's,
That's Westboro.
oh. Just so happens that Hudson's page 68 also. It's poultry.
Yeah, let's see.
All right, well, there should be a run.
I think it's interesting. I don't think we have to take everything word for word here, but I'll just say that I noted. Hence, number 8, page 69, poultry must be kept in a structure and must not create nuisances.
Right.
It's reasonable, including noise disturbances between the hours of 10 PM and 7 AM. Chickens are not out at 10 PM because as soon as it's dark, they're in, they're scared, they can't see in the dark. But at 5 AM in the summer, if they lay an egg, you're gonna know it. And you can't stop that, because, but they're not gonna be up at 5 AM right now, because it's dark. You're not gonna hear the chicken signs until 7 AM, so I think that depends on the time of
Right,
year, so I
because-
hope we're not gonna put.
Like, I was gonna say, I think like it's a
would-
good starting point, but maybe
I wouldn't
take
think
some.
so.
It's a little,
Can't. Gotta be realistic as to what can be controlled. And not create a nuisance, and roosters can't create a nuisance. We
A
know
lot of
roosters
things
are
cause
nuisance,
nuisances.
dogs can't create
Trash
nuisances.
can,
What happens when a dog creates a nuisance? What does the regulations say about
so
that?
that falls under animal control,
Hmm.
more under like police. So we deal with, animal inspector. They're the same person, we contract together, but it's kind of two separate roles of their job. Like missing animals or loose animals would be animal control.
So a barking dog is animal control.
Usually dogs fall under animal control. Unless it's their safety.
But what is the barking dog? What is a noisy person? That's police. That's nuisance. So is the chicken an extension of the person? If I remember from law school, if you allow water, say you love watering your grass and your water runs down your slope and goes into the neighbor's yard. It continues to go in the neighbor's yard, not constant, but continual pain, right? That's a nuisance. It's also could be a trespass. Now, here we have sound. We're not talking about the chickens going in people's yards, so that would be a nuisance. Which in tort law, you would have a right of action against the town. Which the town doesn't like. So we have to try and minimize nuisance problems. Now, we're not banning chickens, we've already decided that 3 months ago. As far as the roosters go, I'm opposed to them, I think that it's just asking for nuisance problems. Of course, we never really got any complaints about roosters until recently.
Typically, I think we've gotten 3, maybe like 1 or 2 since you've been here, and we typically deal with them one-on-one. Our animal inspector goes out, offers sound mitigation, and it usually.
What is the sound mitigation for a rooster? I guess that's something we have to look at. Is it a
We
collar?
do have those collars. I can't speak to whether they're ethical or
Yeah, I don't-
effective. That said, I know, in other cases where we've had roosters, the owners of the building to create a coop that, keeps it completely dark until a certain time, doesn't let them out until 7 AM, that sort of thing, as a way of mitigating sound. But beyond that, it's very difficult.
I mean, they crow all hours. I don't know if they crow at night
Mhm.
when it's dark, but I know they do crow at noon.
Have the complaints gone up since people work at home now more? No, just curious.
I think there's more urban farming going on now. You know?
There's
because of-
certainly, I mean, there's
of the
definitely
lots
been an
cuts.
uptick in the demand for veterinary private practices to cover chickens. Because they are do sort of fall more under,
I think, you know, it's a different thing, but the lots have gotten smaller, the neighborhoods have gotten more dense. The people are adding on, you know,
although historically birds were always easy to keep in small confined areas. In inner cities, people kept them for as a food source, so.
I don't know. Can't speak to that. Have we answered any questions?
The Westboro regs did not talk about, they only mention of, 5 feet away from a budding property. The coop has to be 5 feet away from a budding property and 10 feet away from a budding property lines. It doesn't talk about the actual dwelling piece in here. It does go specific about exotic bird housing, but I don't know that you want to get into exotic birds here.
No.
That one was 50 feet away from a budding property,
Why?
not dwelling.
What's the difference
Well, I have to go
between an
back and see what
emu
they
and
can
a,
find it. Well,
chicken.
Like a
That's a big
peacock.
bird.
an emu's a big bird.
yeah, but are they're more noisy? I mean, I get it, they're grosser,
They can be,
so to speak.
emus and ostriches can be fairly aggressive.
All right, what else do we got? How about
I just think if you, yeah, you're
Are we only
skipping the
looking at
chickens
chickens?
or
Are we,
poultry in general, or fowl in general.
I think it's depending on how you define poultry or fowl.
there's a whole list of them.
there was, yeah. And then depending on the type of poultry, not chickens, there were different
Yeah.
recommendations for size and acreage. Or number and acreage.
Do we get complaints about any other bird species at this time? Yeah, I feel like that might be it.
Most of the chicken, you know, in my years of being here in this seat, most of the chicken complaints are about chickens that escape.
Hmm.
You know, the neighbors let them, the owners let them out and they're going across the
Trash
street.
gardens and stuff.
And every now and then, occasionally one gets out and, you know, they call the Board of Health or, and go down there and they catch it. There hasn't been a lot of complaints about the clucking or the mess or the, no, mess, I guess. And the roosters, I haven't had a lot of complaints about those till very recently.
So I think you should balance the number of complaints and just outright saying no.
I'm more than willing to balance, I just don't know how to do it. They're a noisy beast.
No to under 5 acres, is what you're saying? And from your perspective, you think that that's probably makes sense for a town, because you are, your boots on the ground every day.
I think with limited rooster complaints and what we've heard from residents that they enjoy their roosters.
But there are rooster complaints.
There are.
And
there are.
something has to be done
I agree.
about the complaints about the rooster.
So you think,
The number I see is 2 acres, and just to me, I think what's important is having a mechanism there to basically have a variance request for those weird situations. You know, if we have someone come in to say 1.99 acres, they're like, I have a rooster, none of my neighbors are bothered. It sounds like a
Right.
situation where, you know, perhaps that's,
Depends on the, over here next to the woods,
right,
the neighbor's house is on the opposite end,
exactly.
that's one thing.
That's where, you know, like you said, I mean, all the lots are very uniform, so just having that mechanism to basically hear people out. I know something I've done in previous towns is we've had a butter notifications. Basically, this is what your neighbor's proposing. If you have if you want to save peace, this is your opportunity. Nobody comes, it's pretty telling, no one minds the rooster. So that's something to consider. But yeah, I agree with Isabella, I think weighing, you know, at the end of the day, the number of rooster complaints we've had are very small. I think most people, most Hanover's would go, no, I don't want a rooster anyway, so.
Right,
But yeah, I very much, it's a difficult balance because if I look at Praha's, the average lot size in Northborough is 1.1 acres. So. That, yeah. That's,
That 0.1 acre moves them to the next level of more chickens. In a lot of the lots, the house is only on maybe a quarter of it, and 3/4 of it is woods or, which makes it difficult on a small lot to have that many chickens with neighbors close by.
And you can have 2 acre, 1 acre, 2 1 acre lots and a 75 lot neighborhood of 1/2 acre, happening.
I actually think in your Westboro, I think if that's what I was reading, they did talk to that. That it I'm pretty sure it was Westboro, that talked to, it has to be, your acreage has to be what is your visible lot, not your lot with woods and all the other, you know, that you're not usable. I think that it's a usable, whatever your usable acreage was dependent on those numbers. I'm not sure if it was Westboro. I think it was.
Yes, you're right. It says no structure or combination of structures may occupy more than 25% of the usable lot size. So that goes back to the size of the structure. But Westboro again doesn't limit the maximum. They go based on what you all were talking about, the density of the size.
That's a good point to put in.
you're sure, lady, anything to limit the amount of chickens you can have, is a good place to put in there.
I think if you add the setbacks with the size of the coop, I mean, if they want most of their backyard to be a coop.
You want most of the backyard to be a coop. This is, you know, free country, as long as you're not disturbing your neighbor, that's.
Right, as
that's
long as
your-
it meets setbacks.
As long as you meet the setbacks, what can you say?
I think Westboro.
I can have a bunch of empty garbage cans in my backyard, can't say anything. Brand new garbage cans, not a bit of trash in them.
So what did we
Who am I to
decide
say?
for setback?
And Westboro's setback is only 5 feet.
No,
So
I also said something about, the coop could only be a quarter of that usable area. I'm not sure. I just read Westboro's this morning.
Westboro's got some
Weird rules, but
harsh,
vaccination of chickens too.
what was your question?
Have we decided on a setback?
The setback, thought we said,
you said you guys like the 75 feet from any dwelling, a butter's dwelling.
I think that's fair.
25 feet.
That's the most reasonable,
Okay, good. So we've agreed on that. Good.
that's the most reasonable
I agree.
thing so far.
Right.
So then in that sense, you wouldn't, and then in combination with the square feet per chicken, you wouldn't necessarily put limits of number of chickens based on acreage. Is that correct? Or would you do?
No, I would still have it, limits on numbers of chickens. I still would. But if you can fit them in there with the setback, let's go for it. You know, I mean, the setback, I think, personally, is the most important aspect of this regulation. Protects people's yards who don't want chickens. Keeps the noise.
I kind of think that the limiting the amount of chickens per acreage seems very, fair to the neighbors. I mean, if you can have 50 chickens or 50 birds on 2 acres, it's a lot.
That seems like a lot to me, and that's why I said, like, that was this is a starting point, but I
Right.
think like numbers should probably be lower than what's here.
Yeah.
Yeah, much less. If you've got I think the hen or coop has to be a certain amount of feet away from the property line,
We have that,
Mhm.
25 feet,
25 feet,
that's what we said, from
is that what we said?
the lot line.
I thought it was 15
I
feet,
thought it was 15.
and 75, no matter what, 75 feet away from the house.
75 property and
And the
25.
butters well.
From the butters,
And
well,
25 feet from the applicant as well. The
Oh,
others
that's right.
well. And then 15 feet setback from the line.
now if you do all that math, what size lot do you have to have? I don't know, what's a quarter acre is only, I think, what's an acre is what, 45,000 square feet? So half an acre is 22.5, and a quarter acre is half of that. Is that right? 11,000
Quarter acre is about 11,000 square. feet.
11,000 square feet. So it could be done. And you get 10 square feet per chicken
Mhm.
on 11,000 square feet. Right? And it's 75 feet off, so you've already taken out 75 feet times 10, let's say, that's 750. Now we're down to, let's say, 10,000 square feet, less your house. Now that's just the setback, less your house. You know, how many chickens can you fit in there? Let's say a house, I don't know how many square, what's a house, a square foot is 3,000. There's a big house on a small lot, right? It's a ranch. So now we're down to 7,000, 6,000 square feet.
Do we need to be that?
No, I'm just doing the math just for the sake of
Yeah,
argument.
I-
Yes. We haven't had an issue. with
Well, that's what they
chickens.
said 20 years ago, and look at us now. Unable
You,
to,
but at least once we have these, you could provide some.
So number of chickens is arbitrary at this point.
as long as the setbacks are. However, is it safe to have 20 chickens on a quarter acre lot? Is
Cross
it?
that bridge, we can get to it.
I guess you're gonna have the right size coop. So you're saying coop size doesn't matter either?
No, coop size
Coops it
matters.
down, that's.
Coop
that's-
size and run
It
size?
does matter, but it's interesting, the coop size is often, you would think, just as a human looking at it, is much too small for the
Right.
way they recommend it.
Coop
I
size,
think we had a 20 chicken.
run
coop, and
size.
we would only put 10 in there.
I still think you should,
They're based on
I
commercial
still think-
standards, which are.
Yeah,
lot size matters.
lot size matters.
I think it does, because I don't wanna see 20 chickens in there, I've seen it. I knew a guy he had animals everywhere. It was in,
Is a quarter acre the smallest lot?
Plainville?
With here in Northborough?
But
Or
not
do we
here.
have some that are
No.
smaller?
They'll get a little
What he
smaller,
had.
but I'd say that's closer to the
Yeah.
average.
it invited me to go see his farm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh,
I feel like you could just scratch
The
that. and
animal on
start
top
it.
animal.
Yeah.
irresponsible.
Yes, he was. So anything under a quarter acre, you could still have a chicken if you wanted to. Think of the cabins, the cabin lots. Oh, I don't know where they are. They're on the water in Northborough.
No,
I know because we had septic systems coming.
that's right. That would be tough to have chickens.
It would be, but it would be up, what I was saying is up to a quarter acre, X amount. Just because of math wise, it only fits.
Okay.
That's what I think.
I mean, the Westboro regs up to a quarter, from an eighth to a quarter acre, they allow 18.
I think
feels like-
it's crazy people.
I think I was-
Westboro must have been a chicken town.
Well, it's interesting because the regs sort of go back and forth. At some level, you're like, oh, that's a lot of chickens. And on the other hand, they have all these other regs that, I don't know, that you could actually get the number of birds they're proposing here with all the other things that they put in here, but I mean, that's a math
They must
problem.
have
for
been a
somebody
chicken
else as
town,
well.
and now they're,
Yeah.
you know,
I do think they're similar to Northborough in the sense of agriculture. But Medway has the different breakdown, so an eighth to a quarter is 4. I would recommend not 4 and do 6. But, and then they do a quarter to a half to one, and then 1 to 5.
I think those
Yeah.
ratios seem
That's perfect.
logical.
What was the number for 1 to 5?
1 to 5 acres.
Yeah.
1.
Yeah, that's,
No,
20 chickens on 1 acre?
that's, with that amount of land, you could have a coop that could satisfy that, both the setbacks and the minimum amount of space.
Isn't their neighbors got 1 acre? And they have 12.
well, it might be that by that point in time, you're gonna have trouble keeping up with the waste if you're not on top of it. I mean,
Yeah, it's gonna be.
if people aren't gonna be responsible about 20 chickens on 1 acre, they're gonna fall into issues with some of these other problems. Either they're not gonna keep up on the waste, or they're gonna start to have a nuisance issue because they're not staying on top of where they're at.
I think 20 chickens on 1 acre is too many. Bless you. Was my opinion. It's too many. 2 acres, I can see you having a number of chickens, but 1 acre. I'm just thinking like, where's the neighborhood there? What's that one off of 135 there? Northgate?
Mhm.
What are those lot sizes?
I'd they'd probably closer to a third of an acre, but, you know.
I just wonder if we're being too.
Yeah, I mean, I like Westboro's. I think we can just polish off the edges a little bit and make it a little less restrictive. But I think it's more or less where we've been kind of dancing around,
Really?
except for the numbers.
Right.
That way numbers in the Westboro regs.
And do we want permitting? Because we
That's
haven't
funny you
done
said that.
permitting. You want permitting, okay, so then you would know. And there's-
I think some towns require permitting, but some also for, like Framingham, for more than 6, they require permitting. But under 6, they just require a Board of Health notification. Again,
I think that's
even if you have
reasonable.
1
Yeah,
animal,
that
you
seems
are
comfortable.
required to have a barn inspection from the animal inspector. Those reports aren't sent to us, they're sent to the state, but you are required to report you have an animal to the animal.
Yeah, I think that's fair. You do it for your dog. Right? You gotta notify you got a dog.
I do like Framingham, that under 6, you don't
Yeah,
necessarily.
I think that's reasonable.
I think what's good about the permit is it kind of gives us teeth in the matter because, like Mr. Webster was dealing with, that bylaw he specifically cited is very vague. When you have the permit, it kind of gives us,
That's full teeth too.
yeah, exactly. So say in the extreme cases where we have a situation where the animals are not being taken care of, we haven't codified that, hey, you have to have this kind of shelter, food for the animal. We have the ability to take your permit away. Not that we want to go on being the chicken police, but if someone's not doing what they're supposed to do, that gives us an easy avenue to enforce.
Yeah, that's important.
Mhm.
I would say, you said under 6, I would say,
Sorry,
how would, so if you have to buy them in 6, and say you have 6 chickens, you need a permit for that, or if it's more than 6?
sorry, more than 6.
Okay, no, that's okay, it just, all right, yeah, more than 6 would give you.
Permit,
for a permit.
but notification. Who are they notifying?
Our department.
So if I go to Tractor, Tractor Supply and I buy my 6, right? The spring comes. I just gotta call up and say I've got,
No,
We could make a form or
only if
something.
you have more than 6.
so nobody gets notified if I have less than 6 chickens.
If you have 6.
6 or less,
6 or less, no permit, more than 6, a permit.
no permit. But I'm talking about.
Framingham, so the keeping of the total of not more than 6 shall not require a permit, provided that the animals are registered with the department. So just notify.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
Not,
registered,
not a
okay.
fee or anything
I
like
see.
that.
So it's a simple phone call or email.
Something like that, or, right,
Sign up.
but what if they,
Email or
they still have to keep,
form.
I mean, you have 6 or 7. 7, they've got all these regulations where they have the pen and the run and
Well, I think
75 feet
that would be required for all chickens,
for all.
the regulations.
But it's also
Regs
helpful,
apply to everyone, the permit's only necessary to get the 7 number and up.
what's also helpful about the permit is we can set it up on, the online portal, you apply for it, okay, we can send out the inspector before you do it and be like, okay, this is where you should put the coop to make sure you have the setback, so it kind of, again,
So most people won't require a
prevents
permit.
issues in the future. If
Right.
you can get there first and be like, hey, please do it this way,
Right,
right. that's
Yeah.
really helpful.
Yeah, that's.
But most people won't require a permit, let's say,
Right.
because they're gonna have 6 or less.
No,
Right, and I think
But
that's
they
us.
will still have to follow the regs.
Yes.
So what's the point of a permit?
That's where, in my opinion, anyone should have a permit.
That's what I think.
We don't have to, it doesn't have to be obviously a hefty fee or anything, just
Oh,
so long as we have it for our
So
record.
that works better
Yeah.
from your perspective, is just have a chicken, get permit.
Exactly.
Okay,
And
Does, Tractor Supply post notices about what the rules are for surrounding towns? I'm guessing they don't. Yeah, so people are just gonna end up, like, it's gonna be a tough thing to actually get people to do this. The heavy lift.
No, I don't think so.
I mean, if you wanna be responsible with your,
The responsible ones aren't the people that we're writing these regs for. You know that as well as I do, right? I mean, we're writing these for the people who are irresponsible, and I'm not being good neighbors and not being the chicken owner and not being the rooster owner. So regs are made for the people who don't follow them.
exactly.
well, you'll have a better handle on who has them,
Absolutely.
to some degree.
Yeah.
To some degree.
Hopefully.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
an attempt,
and we can only go so far.
Right,
Just-
right.
Because the vast majority of people are responsible chicken owners and we don't have to micromanage them for lack of a better word. but,
Right.
You know, when we have those extreme cases, it makes our life a lot easier to be like, all right, we have it written in our regulations. First offense is a fine, second offense is a bigger fine, third, you lose your permit.
okay,
I think so.
Yeah. agreed.
So,
Were the fines in the Westboro regs reasonable? Was like, first offense was $50, second offense was $100. Third offense, and further was $300, which doesn't seem like a lot in today's dollars to me. I don't know when they wrote these regs, but
These two are pretty recent.
Well, it's the same as, Hudson and Westboro, it's the same regs. It must, the same fines. Not unusual. But we're not inventing the wheel.
Is it more about pulling the permit versus collecting the fine?
We really don't want to go.
It's, yeah, we're
We
not-
don't, we're not in the business to, we really want, with any of our nuisance complaints, we want to work with the residents and often we just do that.
I think after a certain number of visits, just like the health,
right,
just like food. Permit gets yanked.
exactly.
That's the only way to, George.
Well, then somebody has to go and remove the animals from the property. It's easier to shut down a restaurant than it is, not easier, but, you can lock the door, but
Removing the animals.
removing the animals is more.
It would have to be feeding, we would have the authority to do it, but we would have to do it in coordination with the animal control, you know, get the regulation.
It's been done. The SAS farm,
You know.
and animals, they got removed.
That's right.
Dogs get removed. Cats get removed.
some MSPCA's are set up to take agricultural animals.
And there's big farms, you know, brother.
Be willing to
Yeah,
take a rooster or a
yeah,
chicken.
or chickens. Battery removed.
Mhm. Okay,
So I
So we
think that's, you gotta,
that way.
that's the only true punishment. I mean, money's money, but
Removing chickens.
if everybody eats chickens, you don't wanna lose them.
Poultry.
The poultry.
Good.
We're doing pretty good. Not easy.
No, it is not easy.
It's as strange as it is. It's not
You would
easy.
think it would be, but
You would.
people are really passionate.
I remember doing with the, stable regulations. That was tough too.
I
Yeah.
bet.
There was a lot of people came from New Hampshire to say their piece, especially horses, you know.
Yeah.
This is America, horses. Oh, yeah,
Or something special.
horses are special. But that was not easy. That was a lot, it was a series of months of meetings and
Mhm.
the same sort of stuff. Anything else on those? Do we have it? Do we close?
I think close. I can work on kind of using Westboro's, adding deleting, and I'll give you a draft by next meeting, and then you can talk about it again, and then
Right.
finalize it. We would
Let's
post,
see what's missing, see what's,
yeah, and we would then advertise, do the public hearing,
yeah,
get comments, and honestly, the comments from, I think you're very helpful, but, other animal owners or chicken and rooster owners, like that feedback is really helpful,
Yes.
because we want this to actually work. We don't wanna
Right.
just make numbers that
No.
don't make sense, so that public comment period will be helpful.
Good.
And then,
what did we say about roosters? I don't remember,
That's the big outstanding one.
that's
you said
outstanding.
2, we went to 3, you said 5.
5 roosters?
No, acres, sorry.
You said 2.
Yeah.
I was deferring to those that are in the trenches week after week, talking with people, seeing what's going on versus just saying, this is the amount of acreage.
Right,
And we have a lot of responsible,
exactly, it's,
poultry owners. I think it's
So,
only fair.
so much, it's like saying, bees, if you're keeping bees, you can't let them fly out of your yard. It's gonna
Have
happen,
bee
because
regulations.
bees fly out of your yard. Roosters make a lot of noise, that's their thing in life. So to say, oh, we keep them quiet, is
But
just,
but if people don't mind it in the area, then why are we preventing it? So to
Well,
have some
because-
flexibility in,
Farmer Brown.
you're dealing with
Farmer
it.
Brown's got roosters, he's been living there for 10 years, and he's got 10-year-old roosters, and everything's great. All the people
Yes.
living next to Farmer Brown are happy about it, right? And then somebody moves out, and Mrs. Jones moves in, and she doesn't like the sound of the roosters in the morning. They keep her up, she has migraines. What are you gonna do? Suddenly you've got a problem.
that's what's tough about this, is because the volume of complaints are very small, but they're very
Persistent.
They're very persistent, it's a great word. So, like Mr. Webster citing that bylaw is not a good bylaw.
No.
Because it's like, it's very vague, there's no standards, there's no.
And the
So it will be
nuisance-
good to have some sort of, avenue to tackle that. But I am in that camp as well, where, it doesn't really make sense to completely like fan roosters if, it's not as big of a problem as we would like to see some.
Then again, we would still have that nuisance kind of,
I think the nuisance language is really important.
Yeah,
And I really think that that's, the heart of the problem is the ones that cause the problem. And
You have to
it feels like
find
there's been
nuisance.
no option to redress on that,
Yeah,
in that
I agree.
particular case.
Yeah.
We have to define nuisance,
I think,
then we have to show it's a nuisance, and if it's a nuisance, you're gonna take away someone's roosters, I guarantee you. There's gonna be a difference of opinions on what's a nuisance and what's not a nuisance. And it's gonna wind up in the court system.
exactly.
so the definition is through Mass General Law, Chapter 11. So we would.
111,
Yes, section 125A.
so all powerful, 111. It is.
To us, it is.
To the health department. So Board of Health under 111 has the nuisance control. That comes into smells, I've never dealt with sounds. But I know the smells, it's always been,
And just slightly,
yeah,
rodents, all the things. So I don't think this is new to nuisances. We deal with them almost every day. So,
They're tricky because one man's nuisance is.
yeah.
Not a nuisance.
Well, I can say those roosters, in the short time I was there, they were a nuisance.
It's,
You know,
involved
I
with-
pulled up to that number, whatever. There's chickens running all over the neighborhood. They're across the street, the poor guy's yard.
Yeah.
The roosters are crowing. It was 4:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, you can picture a situation where somebody works like night shift or off hours and, they're being disturbed. I don't.
It was a crazy little corner.
Yes.
Well, I don't know.
I'm sorry, but if you deal with them every day, wouldn't that be considered a complaint?
Not animal nuisances.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like trash,
Mm.
we've gotten odor ones recently for not animals.
Those roosters, we're still up in the air on that.
I will do a placeholder. I will draft it.
I'd like to know where there are other roosters in town. You know what I
There's
mean?
some
Just
near
to,
me.
just to
But
see.
I think the lots are all over the 5 acres, so.
And you can hear 'em.
Yeah, but they don't, I mean, I'm up at 5, so
Yeah,
it doesn't
then-
bother me,
well-
and I mean, I don't hear them.
I guess one man's poison.
Yeah, they're there, and I know about.
I just have a question. Is there a particular, like, are there parts of town that these complaints are coming from as opposed to others? And like, could you have it be like zoning districts? Like in the northern parts of town where that's all farms anyways and like wide properties? Are there complaints from up there or are they all like the dense neighborhoods?
I would say it's mostly dense neighborhoods. That is one route you could take. But I don't know if there are smaller houses in those areas or bigger houses in different. I could talk to Lori.
So
and
the-
look at zoning.
The idea with that also kind of the same thing as anything under 2 acres. No rooster, need a variance,
Right.
deal with it.
And what's the time period we're giving people to
That's,
come into compliance? Westboro, it looks like gave 12 months.
yeah,
It's
they
a
did.
long time.
That does feel.
It is a long time, but what I was saying is, you know, we're in the winter months are coming. So that's good, and then we can start this thing in the spring. When the chickens are getting ready.
Have them start in February because they'll have chicks,
Yeah.
available in February, March, they start, showing
I'm
up.
thinking more of the people who already have existing birds. For them to come into compliance, so to speak. To get their facts in line with the regulations. You know what I mean? Can't just say, hey, you got 8 chickens, you can only have 6, baby. You know what I mean? I don't think that's fair either. There could be some sort of grandfather time, but everybody's gotta come into compliance by a certain time. If you're gonna have chicks in February, technically, there is no regulation if we put a grandfather clause on it. So they're gonna have them, and then by June, everybody's gonna be in compliance. I just don't want to I don't know if it's overburden is the right word, but overburden people who have chickens already, and suddenly making them move their coop and,
I see what you mean.
in the middle of
I see what you're
February.
saying. You have the moving of the structures, et cetera.
Or the culling of your crowd.
And that wouldn't be grandfathered, so would they be grandfathered?
I think grandfather is the wrong word. I'm
Would you
thinking
allow
more of just
existing
like
structures?
It's like a grace period for everybody to get in, get their
To move their coops?
stuff,
Yeah,
move your
within-
coops, limit the numbers that you've got. If you've got a 1/4 acre lot or a 1/2 acre lot and you've got roosters, be ready for the noise ordinance or move the rooster to some bigger farm. Because they are pets, I suppose. Pets. And you gotta, that's what I think, and I didn't really think of it till I read Westboro, somebody who gave that 12-month. These things, everybody's gotta be in compliance within 12 months, I don't know where I read it, but.
It's at the very end.
Yes. Shall 12 months from the effective date of this bylaw to comply with the size of structure, a maximum number of birds.
But it does also say, structures existing prior to the adoption of this bylaw may be deemed acceptable on written authorization of the animal inspector.
Provided they do not occupy more than 25% of the usable lot size. So that's what you were
Yeah,
talking
that's
about.
not, that's mentioned earlier.
I think that's important.
You think that's fair?
You think that's fair?
It sounds fair.
Sounds fair.
again, it would be, the animal inspector or you, so if it was like, 2.5 feet, I'm sure we could not
I've
approve that.
always worked with homeowners
Yes.
and businesses.
Right.
So I will work on that. I do think, to Mr. Webster's point, a timeline. So our next meeting is Veterans Day, so we will need to move that meeting. I do think if you want to move this along, finding a different date in November would be important, so we don't just skip to December. What do you think?
I think he's not gonna be happy one way or another.
Right, but we would need another meeting to kind of, you guys finalize it, and then
Yeah,
another meeting for
there's
the,
2 more meetings at least
At
before
least.
these things
correct.
are approved and kicked in. So next meeting,
Mhm.
we should have the drafts.
Yep.
And those will be already reviewed by town council, or we should get them here first.
We should probably,
And then you can kick them to town council on your own, time, and then give town council says yay. The next meeting after that, which would be December, January, let's say, in a perfect world, we can vote on them.
Fine.
And then as far as that time period, that would be 12 months from that time period, December or January, seems a bit much.
they said.
I would say 6 too.
So are you suggesting finding a different date in November, or you just go into your December meeting?
If it's not on the 11th, that'd be the 17th, the 18th. I'm probably free.
I could do the 18th.
Sadly, I'll be here.
Yeah, I don't know how that
Yeah,
works
why not?
for the others, but.
Okay, how about, Jess, can you send out an email tomorrow to him, to see if we would have quorum for November 18th at 6 p.m.?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Moving forward. Yes.
My luck.
I've been good today.
Yeah.
This young man asked a very good question. Like, where are most of the complaints? And most of the complaints are in the suburbs. They're not in the rural areas. I have spent an afternoon, just sending emails to Massachusetts, that just to find out information more about the state. And I know that it's the local people that determine these things. But the Massachusetts Guide for Agriculture had said it was part of determining the rural areas and where these chickens were supposed, that's how it started, were supposed to be. And he was telling me about the history of, Cambridge kind of started this kind of homesteading thing. But the Massachusetts, who doesn't have any, doesn't make the rules, it's the towns. But he had said that it was really about putting these chickens in rural areas, not suburbs, is what he told me. And that's when you asked this question, I thought, we'd all live in a nice little world if the chickens were where they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be in like farm areas with a lot of space. And, and I think the definition of rural is the problem.
Well, you've got people who live in 1/4 acre lots who disagree.
I still want to know how many people.
These chicken things, and people want the chickens in their yard. So that's why we're talking about, at least, if you got a small yard, you have a small yard, you should be penalized. You can't have a chicken, but you can't have 20 chickens in a small yard, and that's how it's gotta be. Everybody's a landowner's got a right to what they want with their property. So, and there is zoning. I'm not saying there's no such thing, I understand that. But I think what we're trying to do is a full town approach to a very strange phenomenon that's picking up. Yes, sir.
I'm guessing your answer to this is going to be no, but considering this is a very controversial topic that has brought a lot of people from different perspectives in town, my opinion is that it would be more appropriate to present to the town meeting as opposed to have the Board of Health enter this regulations. Is that something you would consider instead of adopting regulations, presenting it to a vote, so the people of the town have this is choice in saying what they think these rules should be?
The answer is no.
Agreed.
I think it does fall under the 111. It's a health thing that we're trying to get under control.
No different than any other community.
I mean, my only kind of thing, I mean, part of it is you're talking about, you know, is Northborough a agricultural town or a suburb? And that's more of a question of value as opposed to just a health question. I mean, legally, it probably, you can do this and it would be under your jurisdiction, but I think perception wise, it's kind of maybe a stretch, that it does look like the Board of Health is making rules and kind of trying to define what things should be in town beyond, without kind of the people's vote.
Not everything gets voted on.
No, but I'm expressing my opinion, that's all.
I think that's fair, and I think that's why the public comment
I
period.
was gonna say,
Yeah.
there's still plenty of opportunity for the public to make comment during the public comment period.
And we've had more pro-chicken comments so far.
I think so. I think it's been more pro-chicken than anti-chicken.
I've got, I just wanna let you know, people seem to have just started to even hear about this.
That's
I know,
what
it's
we're
right
supposed to
there,
do. We've
It's
heard
right
this
there.
already.
but I do have other neighborhoods that have called, just so you know, it's not just the chicken people. So I just wanted to let you know that even though it's out there, people don't notice, they're busy.
There's nothing we can do about that other than
And
make
formal.
it known.
Yeah.
Just like every other issue that the board deals with.
Yeah, no, I'm not,
They're
I'm just.
constantly coming up
Yeah.
with different issues. It's just-
Makes total sense.
What you, I think, if I could clarify the issue, she's trying to say other people have not called. Or have voiced their.
The anti-chicken people have been sitting silent.
Well, no, I
That's
don't
what
think
you're
they're just
saying.
busy, they're working, they have jobs, and not that chicken people don't, but
No.
they.
Listen, it's posted, it's done what we're supposed to do. There's always so much.
No, all I'm telling you is that they're starting.
I
to get it.
appreciate that.
That's all.
We're not blaming you for trying.
We're not blaming you for
Thank
anything,
We're just saying.
I think we're doing the best we can, and I think it's a good job.
yeah, and I can make a comment.
This is not an open comment thing.
No.
I try to be nice and pleasant, and I think we have
We appreciate it.
more than enough time for one evening. We're gonna have some regulations that we're gonna look at. And that's next meeting.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
Very quickly, flu clinics. So our drive-through vaccine clinic on October 4th at Algonquin, Boylston, Northborough, Southborough, Westborough, we did 213 vaccines. And then today we had a clinic at Town Hall and we did 52. And we're offering homebound vaccines as well.
That's great.
is there another date?
We're possibly, depending on if we have extra vaccines. So we're doing some clinics in Westborough, Boylston.
Yes. Go through the whole collaborative.
Exactly. And
Alright.
then offering them at like the schools as well.
And
It's been a
maybe,
busy time.
maybe going forward at some point, some updates on, Compass.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not
Yes.
tonight, but
Emily would
There's
love
other-
to.
other health things going on
Totally.
that we need to hear about.
Yeah.
Yes,
Besides chickens. So.
Absolutely. So Jess will send out an email tomorrow to confirm, I forgot the date, but I wrote it down, and we will
18th.
go from there.
good.
Yeah, great. Move to adjourn?
I second. All those in favor? Aye. We're all going home. That's okay. No, it's all right.
Sorry.
We're set. Guy doesn't need to tell me.
I'll grab your. Thank you.